Well, no one ever said this job came with a long life expectancy. From the beginning, Creature Commandos has echoed creator James Gunn's previous DC work on the Suicide Squad. Although these characters, Eric Frankenstein, David Harbour, The Bride of Frankenstein, Indira Verma, Dr. Phosphorus, Alan Tudyk, the fish-like Nina Mazursky, Zoe Chow, Weasel and G.I. Robot, both Sean Gunn, are monsters rather than traditional supervillains. They're still expendable bodies sent out by Amanda Waller, Viola Davis, and Rick Flag, Sr., Frank Grillo, to perform dangerous missions. And with this week's episode, the bill finally came due for one member. Unfortunately, the casualty was one of the show's most delightful characters, showrunner Dean Lorey, who produced the adult animated series alongside Gunn, even goes so far as to call G.I. Robot his favorite character on Creature Commandos. But that couldn't save the old World War II-era android from an explosive end. He's actually my favorite character, Lorey tells Entertainment Weekly. I just think he's so sweet and human in a way that you would never expect. But that's the whole point, according to Gunn. This show is tragic. This is not Guardians of the Galaxy, Gunn says, referring to his popular trilogy of Marvel movies. Even as dark as Guardians gets, they're all heroes. We know all of those characters are good guys. This show is not that sentimental. There aren't all happy endings at the end of this. The Guardians are no strangers to death. The most emotional moment in Gunn's entire sci-fi superhero trilogy comes at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2, when Yondu, Michael Rooker, sacrifices himself to save the rest of the team. Like G.I. Robot, Yondu was one of Gunn's personal favorite characters, but like all good writers, he knows you sometimes have to kill your darlings. I really just follow my instinct when it comes to storytelling, Gunn says. I'm never going to kill a character just for shock value, and I'm never going to keep someone alive if the story calls for that person to die. I think the hardest thing I ever had to do in my writing was killing off Yondu at the end of Guardians Volume 2. I didn't want to lose that character, but I knew it was the right thing for the story, so I had to do it. It's the same with the characters that we lose along the way here. But there's an important difference. Yondu's death was heroic. It was sad, but also cathartic, and it helped the surviving Guardians triumph over the villainous ego, Kurt Russell. But the deaths in Creature Commandos, and there may be more to come, are not like that. These characters aren't even heroes so much as misunderstood monsters trapped in a cycle of violence. When you lose Yondu, it is hard and it's terrible, but it all goes to this larger purpose of Peter Quill learning that he had what he needed all along and that someone loved him, and Yondu learning that same thing, Gunn says. The hard thing for Creature Commandos is when we lose these characters, a lot of times it's just a FING waste. Not that it's a waste of this character, but it's not for any reason. It's because sometimes death happens when we don't want it to, and sometimes it doesn't lead to a greater purpose. That's the way in which I think this show is incredibly dissimilar from the Guardians. The first 3 episodes of Creature Commandos are streaming now on Max. New episodes arrive Thursdays.